funny to
No.
me. As a kind
Yeah.
of the reference to the sport he was talking about in the interview. Oh, is everyone here?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Humphrey's not joining tonight.
Where's Dan?
He ditched us for poker. I'll be back in a sec.
Strip poker.
Oh,
Can you stop giving me the image of Humphrey naked? I really don't. He already looks like a
there's
tree.
two Johns, and someone's called Dot, and then there's someone called Mother. I don't know who these people are.
I'm not a father.
Like, well, I can see everyone now. I'm one moment, I'm just going to double check if my
Did that robot for anyone else?
Wi-Fi
Breaking up.
I'm not sure if you're lagging or using auto tune.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think my Wi-Fi is working now. Can you hear me?
Excellent.
Kinda.
All right. It gave up before, so I don't know if it will give up again. But actually, I can turn on my video now. Hopefully, if I start cutting, can you see me?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't see myself. This is very weird. If I start cutting off at one point, just let me know, and I'll go audio only.
Yeah, cool.
John is a chair.
And Pat's leaning into it.
Oh man. So the reason why I picked oh yeah, Mother. Yeah, this film, yeah. I think I picked the film. No. But it was so the first time when I picked Memories of Murder, it was between that film and this film. But I preferred to look at the time of Memories of Murder just to watch first. And ironically, it happened to be the film that came just before Mother, which is this film. So it kind of makes sense with what he was doing at the time, murder investigations and thrillers and all that kind of stuff. That kind of falls on interestingly, and it kind of does a whole, I guess, a play on its own writing. But anyway, yeah, it was just a film I wanted to see. Great director still. I still need to finish watching Parasite. That's another thing. And in the chat is the link I posted for anyone to see in the Google search what Sepak or whatnot is, the sport. Pretty much is basically volleyball with your feet. It's pretty crazy.
Only the Asians.
Yeah, people are doing some high crazy. It's like you got martial artists and
Wait,
just
hang on.
code them.
So what you're saying basically is that Shaolin soccer is a real thing.
Yes. Yes.
You weebs.
This
Hey,
is
Rob knows what
basically
Shaolin soccer is. Fuck you.
this is basically, yeah, all those moments like in Kung Fu Hustle and all those shows where they talk about it, that this is where they got it from. Like
Yeah.
this is actually, I was just like, man, that is intense. It's like how high they anyway. It's
But just so
great
everyone
to see.
knows, they don't actually use apples, like they use an actual ball.
Yeah.
Back in a minute.
No, Rob's fed up. He
That was too much.
Yeah, that fucking
Yeah,
nipples, man.
flying through the air, kicking stuff.
I can tolerate a lot of things, but not a lack of a ball.
Okay. Anyone can start in the point they want to talk about first.
I don't think Rob's muted himself very well.
Oh, what do you mean at all?
Is kind of what I was getting at. Yeah.
What is it? What are you looking at?
Why am I seeing this blackness?
Because it's weird.
Imprisoning me.
I think you just go back to sleep.
Oh, I'm the only one without a filter. It's just I've just got blurred background.
I mean, no,
Editing.
none of us have a filter on. Rob just put the thing on, and it only works with certain cameras and stuff.
Oh,
Really highlights how oddly shaped Ben's head is, though.
It's not very nice.
Well,
Ben is danger in the darkness.
Yeah. Indeed.
Just had to. Yeah, no.
We were waiting for you to come back, Rob, because you didn't mute yourself.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah, I would say you can go. We didn't really say anything besides after John was saying Shaolin soccer is a real thing, and I thought, yeah, this is basically where they got this from. It's freaking cool. But yeah, anyone can start with what they want to talk about first.
I thought it was cool that I think there's quite like a lot of similar sort of subject matter as Memories of Murder, but kind of from like the opposite sort of side where I don't know, it's sort of approaching the same material differently. I thought like it was a really good character study of like the mother and sort of just like the length she was willing to go to. Like I think you kind of see like how much it's not about whether he's doing anything wrong. It's what was that?
Hmm?
It's probably Rachel in the background.
Sorry.
And
Yeah,
don't apologise. Just Alex being passive aggressive. We'll see it.
That's all right. I'm fine. You'll all get a post-it note later.
YouTube knows it.
Yeah, I kind of like the element of it being about she would just protect him at all costs. It doesn't matter if he's wrong or not. And yeah, I found it all pretty. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about the acupuncture. That erases your memory, though. I'm not sure about that one.
To add to what you were saying about the mother, I posted something in the chat. Basically, in one of the reviews that they were kind of talking about, or I think the director said something similar. But as a satire as well as a murder mystery, the film depicts contemporary Koreans as money orientated and alienated in the face of such social decay. Holding the family together is elemental. So the mother must be right, even when she's very wrong. And the director said something similar as well, how he really wanted to kind of show how focused Korean society is and the kind of like family, as I said, family unit and the mother in that kind of unit and how she fits in her views.
Yeah, I thought it was all pretty like well put together, and like it's sort of like I'm obviously a bit hesitant to like kind of compare it to Breaking Bad, but you know how like Breaking Bad is sort of about like you have like your reasons, like Walter White has his reasons, and then like over the course of the show, like all these reasons kind of get stripped away, and he's just left with I just like doing this. I found like a kind of a similar thing where I was going like how far is this gonna like go? And like I felt like she was like very well characterized, and like that's kind of what made it so powerful for me. Also, just as a comparison point with Memories of Murder, I thought like there seems to be like a thing with like sort of like a supernatural element, like the detective saying that he can detect when someone's lying by looking at their eyes. And then then we have this with the acupuncture where like she can like erase your memories and that. Like it's kind of I don't know if that's like kind of a thing like with extra significance that he just likes to put into these, but it's just this fantastical thing that like it's this is supernatural element kind of thing. Like it's you literally can't. That pressure point doesn't exist, but like it's something that's put there to make you this significant for the story.
Yeah, I think it links back to um not just superstition, but kind of old tales a lot of people believe.
Hmm.
So I don't know how much you guys know about how acupuncture is seen in the East or in Asia or among the older generation and further back. But they used to use it for everything. Like in the West, they use it for, like helping alleviate maybe a little pain here or recovery and certain kind of things. But in Asia, they would use it for everything, including weight loss. But it was quite normal, like back in old times, for that to be a thing. And with the detective, it was, I think it's superstitious almost in a way that you do have some people who have that gift to hand just tell.
Mm.
And so for them, it's one of those kind old wives' tales in a way, or things a lot of old people used to say. Kind of like, I don't know if who if anyone who's seen Shang-Chi, it's not a spoiler, but there's
Better
in one
fucking not
part,
be.
it's
Everyone
not.
dies.
There's one part where an old woman talks about how to be respectful to the dead, like don't sit in that seat kind of thing.
Mm. Yeah.
He could still be among us. So you have certain beliefs like that where it might seem supernatural to us, but some of the older generation, that's just how it is to them. in their head. So
Yeah, I
lots
mean,
of kind
even
of
like,
older things, including going.
sorry, carry on.
Oh, I was just gonna say, even like with the middle-aged women or older women dancing on the bus at the end, that was quite common. Um, I guess from the 70s to the early 90s or whatnot, or even to maybe the early 2000s, seeing women of that age, it was quite often that they would be dancing on the bus to music while they're on that journey as a kind of entertainment kind of thing. They don't really do that these days, but they did it back then quite often. So he does include a lot of these things that he's experienced or seen growing up in quite a few of his films. Yeah, sorry, what were you gonna say, John?
I was just going to say, like, obviously, this is a bit more about, like you say, old wives' tales and sort of superstition kind of folklore kind of thing. Um, but it, like, in its, if you was to go down to like the basic stuff, like it's even the simple things like how in Asian countries they believe if you consume the part of an animal that is particularly strong, like if a certain animal has a strong libido, or if they have a strong heart or whatever, anything that you're lacking, their belief is that if you consume that part of the body, it's good for your part of your body, like even though it's a completely different species, like the whole fucking tiger penis and all that nonsense. It's kind of like that's kind of like the basic form of that kind of stuff.
That's a good point.
Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, which just in case anyone's not sure, that's bullshit. It's not true.
You mean I flew all these tiger penises in for nothing?
I mean, if you enjoyed it, it wasn't for nothing.
Well, I paid so much money for that. No,
I mean, yeah,
sorry.
fucking expensive shit that is.
You've been looking, John. I see.
What do you mean looking? I've been buying it for years.
Yeah, I just thought it was like a cool little kind of common element between. I'm actually like this is only my second sort of film from this director, so like I just thought it was a cool little sort of unifying element, just having like this character with like this bizarre little ability.
What I like about it is like because you can look at it both ways. You can look at it as like a bizarre ability, but you can also look at it as like just a thing that they themselves believe. Like it doesn't have to actually be true, because in the context of both movies, neither of the things actually had to be true for the story to work. It could have just been a thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Because like obviously her kid is mentally challenged, so him forgetting something
Yeah.
could easily be like whatever, and she's clearly fucking mental as well. So her fooling herself into
Yeah.
thinking that she knows this pressure point and then doing it, like it could all be placebo for all we know. So I like that there's the option there to believe either thing.
Yeah. That's a good point. The placebo kind of effect. Because no matter what people might say acupuncture can do, at the end of the day, Mary believes that she can forget the horrible things she's done
Yeah,
and the
I
horrible.
mean even in like them about whether it is real or not, basically. I'm assuming it was like a what do you call it,
Did it
the
just stop the
screensavery
track?
type thing.
Maybe.
He's
Yeah.
left it for a while. Weird that it would do all that at once, but who knows? Well, that maybe because the scene changed. I don't know.
Yeah.
No.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Hi.
Another thing that
Took me to my core.
another thing I found interesting was that one of the questions in one of his interviews he talked about he was asked because at this point in his career, all the films he had done had some kind of theme of violence and suspense and some kind of thriller in some way. And he talked about how when he was growing up, like 70s, 80s, in like his schooling, it was still very much dictatorship or just kind of coming from war times or kind of occupational times. And in school, it was very much violence every day. So if a bully wasn't beating you, a teacher was beating you, or your parents were beating you, someone was either beating you or trying to beat you or was trying to fight you.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very normalized to the point where he was saying even these days you still have a problem in a way with violence in school, but now among just the students themselves. But I think it's one of those things he kind of includes in his stories because that's kind of part of himself.
Mm.
Even though he himself, quite interesting, he's very, I can't think of the word. You know when like people might see the sight of blood and they really can't, like they can't handle it too much.
Squeamish?
He's kind of similar in a way to violence. Yeah, he's squeamish in a way when it comes to violence or like actual violence in front of him. So it's quite interesting that he puts that into his films in such a forefront way.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
a
I
big fan of
wonder-
those drop kicks, isn't
I wonder if he's just able
Oh,
to
yeah.
disassociate it because
Yeah.
he knows it's not real, maybe.
True. That actually reminds me of a manga I'm reading. But yeah, true.
he? But the bit where Jin Tae like kicks the kid's tooth out, like it, considering how long we spend
Yeah.
on that, like that's like really that's really kind of visceral, like just as a
Brutal.
yeah
Yeah.
man, that's so good. So it's interesting that he's a bit squeamish about violence. I did also kind of like the sort of the kind of the mystery, like I don't know, just kind of like on the subject of violence. I kind of liked the whole thing about how it's mostly played for laughs with Jung Doon, and it's always someone calling him a retard, and then but like pretty much up until the reveal, it's played for laughs, and it's always like a kind of a humorous cutaway, or he's trying to kick the wing mirror off and he fucks it up and he just falls on his ass. But then I don't know. I think it's a nice thing where you're going like, I'm pretty sure he didn't do this, because like it's always a funny moment, and yeah, just having it actually be like that was actually the thing that happened, and I was like, oh fuck, I don't know if it was like the best sort of shot thing, like with the Rock, because I don't know, it just looked a little off to me, but like just kind of the realization that he did actually kill her, like don't know, I appreciate it as like kind of a misdirect, really, like just tonally.
Yeah, and I liked it as well. You might have just said this already because I missed the part because I was talking. Well, Camilla, sorry.
Before you carry on, Rob, just so you know, the recording stopped.
Oh
No,
no,
it started again, didn't it? Sorry, ignore me. I forgot.
It stopped for about 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Also, you're muted, by the way.
It's right. I think he's a bit distracted today.
Dogs on the ceiling, probably.
I just feel like his computer has betrayed him, so he needs to know.
Trail.
Right, carry on, Manny. Sorry. No, not with that. Carry on with the thing you were saying.
Just keep it.
Yeah. Now, yes, apologies if you said this already, Alec. 'Cause I know you said similar things already.
And apologise.
But yeah, I also like how in the first film, it gets blamed on someone who's a similar type of character, and the investigator proves that it's not him. And you find the one who really did it. Whereas in this one, especially if you've watched that film last, which was the last film before this one, you go, okay, this is similar. Oh, the thing that's different is it's a mother relationship and blah, blah, cool. But then you end up finding out that, oh, he actually did do it. It's kind of like, and then on top of that, she then kills someone and it's horrified that she did that. And it's like, okay. So that's where like the fire in the trailer comes from and stuff. I was like, wasn't expecting that. But man, that's kind of messed up.
Kind of messed up.
Yeah, and she goes to the prison to kind of help herself feel better, because the detective's like, why do you need to come alone? Like, why do you need to see him? Obviously, he doesn't understand what's going on in her head. And she's trying to help herself feel better and convince herself that it's okay to let this other kid around the same age going through maybe something that can be slightly similar to her own son as being okay. And when he says he doesn't have any parents, she like breaks down and cries.
I wouldn't say that that's why she went. I would say that that was the result. Like, I feel like she didn't really know anything about him apart from the stuff that she'd randomly heard, which none of which like made it clear exactly what type of person he was. I feel like she went there to like just to find out who she was condemning, like not to make herself feel better. And then that's when she saw him, that's when she started asking the questions to make herself feel better, like, because you know she's just accidentally, well, not accidentally is a strong word, but I'm going to say it. She's just accidentally murdered someone to protect her son.
Moment.
Yeah, it was manslaughter, let's say. She's accidentally slaughtered a man. I said accidentally again. Anyway, you know what I mean. To protect her son. So she's like, oh shit, does this kid have a mother too? Like, am I condemning someone else to go through what I've just been through? And then yeah, when she finds out, that's when she's like, oh, I feel better about this. At least to me, the reason for the crying is twofold. It's one, because she feels bad for him, and two, because she hates herself for feeling relieved at the fact he doesn't have parents.
I think there's also the dimension of sort of see where Doom would be if he didn't have her.
Say that again. You cut out a bit.
Oh, okay. this would be where young Dune would be if not for her.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
So yeah, there's a lot of layers there.
yeah, like I said, it's just like a really, I really felt like I was like in her head like for quite a lot of it, and like yeah, just kind of that. What's that for?
What? Nothing.
Mm. But yeah, I thought that was a really powerful moment. Like, oh wow, you don't even have a mum, and it's like, you know, you're going down. I ain't gonna help you because you're not my kid. But like,
Yeah, that was deep. I was like, man, like it's just one of the things I kind of during the film, and I can after the kind of her setting fire to the place, I can understand why she didn't bring the phone to the police. But before she had gone to Crazy JP's, or JP's, I wanted to. I was hoping that she would have taken that phone to the police because there would have been a lot of people who would have ended up with some charges.
Well,
They wouldn't have ended up with too much probably, but there were reasons why she kept those pictures on the phone.
yeah, but you've got to remember that Jintai completely convinced her to not trust anyone and to do it all on her own. So like, there's no way she was going to go to the police with that phone until she discovered the full truth of what was going on.
True.
it's also
Yeah.
like, you know, that was like, when she brings the golf club in, she like that was humiliating for her. Like the whole fucking building was laughing at her. Like any old idiot can see this is lipstick, and so I can see why she'd be hesitant to do all that again.
That part really annoyed me because I get the whole, you know, she's desperate to prove that she's right and that it was this idiot who's taken advantage of her son too many times. But as soon as she pulled it out, I was like, I mean, that's lipstick. Like, that's not blood. At best, like, at worst, it's like a bit of rust or something, maybe from it being in the water. That's not blood.
Mm.
And then she spies on them having sex. And yeah. Also, fucking, when she's sneaking out and she knocks the water bottle over and she's like,
Yeah, I
and I'm
didn't.
like, fucking leave.
Yeah, that was so dumb. I was just
Also,
like,
when she comes out and she hides by dropping down this ravine, and I'm like, bitch, you are like 50 at least. There's no way you did that without someone noticing, without breaking all your ankles.
I thought the same thing. I was like, okay, I accept that it's a thing that you did to get out of the way, but I feel like you won't be walking anymore.
I found like there were so many moments where I found her acting like really campy, and like that was one of them. And I don't know, it just seemed really weird to me. And I did a little bit of research like afterwards, and it turns out that she's apparently like the Korean version of like Dolly Parton, which kind of explains that.
Oh, interesting.
And I also
ooh,
Didn't he
thought,
didn't he make this because he met her?
oh really?
I read. Yeah, he met her and went, "Oh, I'll make a movie for you."
That's pretty cool. But I thought it was quite nice that like you've got this sort of, I don't know, like matriarch of Korea kind of character, and then he does that with her.
Yeah.
yeah, he was really. I didn't know he made it for her. I knew he said he like made it with her in mind, and he was really hoping she would say yes when she read the script, and she happened to really like it because he was just like, I don't want to make this film with anyone else. But that's cool. So she's like the Korean Dolly Parton.
I guess to be fair, like from her perspective, if you've made a career out of being like this really pure image, then it probably is quite a lot of fun to make a film like this.
Yeah, it's kind of like with oh god, I've forgotten his name now, but
Keanu Reeves.
the guy who's the dad in Meet the Parents.
De Niro?
Oh yeah, Robert De Niro.
Yeah, wasn't he the one who like was doing serious movies for so long, and then was like, oh fuck it, man, I just want to do something fun now.
Yeah, that was King of Comedy. So like him and Martin
Yeah, that's right.
Scorsese were like sick of doing serious films, and yeah, apparently they were just like, fuck it, we're gonna make our own comedy.
And I fucking massively respect that.
Mm.
Wasn't it a
Okay.
serious film in the end anyway?
Yeah, it did turn out quite serious.
They wouldn't want to make a roller coaster film, would he?
The thing is with Robert De Niro, even in Meet the Parents, he's quite serious in that as well.
Yeah, but it's like it's the straight man comedy kind of thing.
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
still haven't seen that film.
I pick it.
I'm just picturing her reading the script and going like, oh, I have to say that I'd prefer to have my phone like, done up so it's like better than a little spinning poo. I'm like, oh, nice, yeah. That's a line I'm gonna have you say.
That scene really confused me at first because, like, I don't know. I was like, I can't imagine where this is going. and then when they started talking about how she makes pervert phones, I was like, what the fuck is that? And then I was like, well, I'm glad you explained that that's a thing in Korea.
Yeah, it is like in Japan as well. So
Yeah.
she said pervert phone. I was like, wait a minute, are you talking about? And then she explained so they could take pictures like
Yeah, it's
'cause you
like-
got
I don't know if it's still a thing, but it used to be the case that you couldn't turn the sound off, like in those countries. I don't know if it's still the case. Obviously, we've been able to do that for ages, but
Yeah. Well, I kind of
it's
like
still a thing,
half,
I think, actually.
I kind of like half knew about it because I remember like years and years ago I must have read something about it. But yeah, no, I was grateful for the explanation in the in the script.
yeah, no, it was well explained. Because yeah, like if you don't know what it is, or if you like can't get the context of it, just hearing, oh yeah, she does pervert phones, you're like, I'm sorry, what now? What's that?
I think I definitely would have spent the rest of the film being like, what does this relate to?
You'd be like, oh fuck, we're back on Leon again.
Oh, man.
no.
But yeah, it was still a problem, at least in Japan. It's still a problem today.
You're cutting out a lot again, man.
But yeah, I wonder. Oh, yeah, my signal's shot. Okay, I'll stop.
Say again.
I'm audio only because my signal is very crap right now. Carry on.
Yeah, you sound all right now.
I am no longer a physical being. I am audio only.
Me that.
Yeah, what were you saying, Manny?
Oh, I think I was just saying that, like you said, I wonder if it's still a thing now, because I think a few years ago, the not being able to turn off the audio was still a thing in Japan. at
I
least.
wouldn't blame them for it still being a thing, considering like how big the like train perversion and stuff is.
Oh man, yeah, train perversion, bench perversion, you name it.
It
Yeah,
says a lot
Everywhere,
when you need to
everywhere.
have subgenres of perversion.
it like it's not even funny. Like I'm sure you've at least seen like some stupid anime scenes or something where they do it, but it's literally just like men either pressing themselves up against, taking pictures of, or literally raping women like in a packed train where they can't get away. Usually schoolgirls. And then things like that, like the bench thing, is where they'll like have it under the bench and like take a picture. So like they need to have the sound on so that these people can't get away with it.
They made a video game about it, didn't they?
I mean, probably. Doesn't ring a bell.
Probably. I mean, there's lots of weird video games. There's one where you have to even describe it. Sounds really weird.
That's okay. We don't have to describe it if you don't want to.
Oh no, it's fine. You go to some kind of girls' high school, and you have to get lots of hearts and points by like.
Are you
I
talking?
think-
Are you talking about Galgun?
It might be Galgun.
You have to
Because
shoot
there's
their
lots
like,
of games.
you have to shoot their points and make them
Yeah, and they make
basically come.
imaginary sounds. Yeah, it's so weird.
never heard
There's
of it.
quite a few games like that. And the thing is, this was like something that was advertised. I swear, even on PlayStation. This
Yeah.
is why I found out about. I was going along like the PS Now or whatever kind of games to see what I could get at a deal, and I see Galgun. I'm just like, wait, what? I've seen something like this before, but already forgot about it. But this exists, like
Yeah, I
on
mean, like,
PlayStation. It's not just a PC thing.
I'm not in favor of blaming forms of media for like people's actions, but they don't help themselves very much with stuff like this. Like, have any of you heard of Akiba's Trip?
No.
It's literally a game where you're a vampire, but all vampires are daywalkers as long as they have their clothes on. So you literally beat people up to weaken their clothing, and then you strip it off like piece by piece. So like the headgear, the top, the bottom, and then once you get all the clothes off, they just evaporate. But sometimes you accidentally do it to human beings, so they just run off in their underwear. Japan.
That's
There's
no,
multiple
certainly.
games.
I mean, if we like, that's a whole nother rabbit hole. But yeah, there are many games.
That's the hole.
The sad thing is, it actually looks pretty fun. Like, I'm not gonna lie. It's like all the Senran Kagura games.
Oh, sorry, am I
Like,
telling
I'm
enough
sure
again?
Amanda knows about those. But I think we've also lost him, so he's probably gone to play Galgun. It's fine.
I keep thinking you're saying Calgon.
Galgun.
Yeah, in the end, you wind up with an immaculate washing machine.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, Emmanuel's just gone to make his washing machine live longer.
Oh God.
Anyway,
I could tell you about all sorts of weird tentacle shit. I mean, what?
Yeah, moving on.
yeah, that whole bit with that character with the scar on her face, I was starting to get a little bit, I don't know.
Uneasy.
No, I was just I don't know. It started kind of getting a little bit contrived for me, like when I don't know. She's like, I'm just getting my period right now. Can you like can you go and grab me some stuff? And she's like, I don't know. It's just really obvious. And she's like, yeah, okay. And then she'd stay here though, and she's like, oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, yeah, I literally shouted at the screen when it happened. But at the same time, she's desperate and wants just to keep this girl happy. So I get it.
Yeah, no, I got it. But then it was also she goes down the road and then
Oh, that, yeah.
she just so happens to be like cornered by some people who have an investment in the phone. I think she has the phone for some reason. Like days after the murder and everything, and like they've only just involved with the character, and it's like, I don't know.
I'll disagree with you on some of that. Like, I agree that it is contrivance, like that she just randomly came across that happening. Also a contrivance that a guy came out just in time for it to be like, oh, he can get involved, boom. But I don't think the phone related stuff is really contrived, because first of all, we're let know that there are many people with investment in that phone.
Yeah.
Second of all, she was her best friend, the only one who hung out with her, and was the one who worked on her phone. So she knew her the best and was the most likely to, like, she had the most involvement with her phone. And also, I feel like it's probably not that they just found her now. She's probably been pestered consistently since it happened.
But yeah, just kind of like the timing.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It
Yeah.
is very convenient. But, suspension of disbelief and all that.
Do you think the director has an issue with Korean police?
Or in his
Because-
case, just police.
The two films that we have in
I was just trying to roll on past this.
He's like these goddamn Korean police.
because he's made the police like really bad at their job in both films.
I mean, I don't think that he's made them bad at their job. I think that that's literally from experience of that in countries like that that have the kind of issues that they have. The police are one of two things: tyrants or lazy fuckers. Like there's no in between of people who are actually trying to do a good job.
I mean, I still find it hard to believe that they're that bad. I mean, looking at our police, I should probably retract that, but still.
I mean, yeah, look at the police in countries like the United Kingdom and America, two of the considered most like civilized countries and in order countries, whatever, and it's a fucking shit show. Imagine if our country was run the way that these countries are in the states that they are, like we'd have no fucking chance.
There's a
Mate,
sorry, Pat.
Go on.
I was just going to say, like, I know some of it gets a bit lost in translation, like on a sort of detail level, but a few of the conversations they had were so goofy, man. Like the first one when they're like, "Oh, when was the last time we had a murder?" And the guy's like, "Well, not since I've been here." And the guy's like, "Oh, has it been that long?" Just like, what?
The bit that made me
It's a
laugh.
weird conversation to have.
The bit that made me laugh is like they're doing their investigation. They're like, "Oh, golf ball has his name on. He's guilty."
I mean, like it's similar to how it's shown in the last movie, where like all they really care about is getting someone convicted, but also with this kind of what's the word? With the kind of science that they have, that's kind of just like a freebie. It's like, I mean, it's got his name on it. The ball's there. He's a retard. He wouldn't think to get rid of it. It's him.
I just I think yeah. I mean, like they do kind of have dialogue to account for it because she's like appealing to like the lead detective, and he's going like, "Look, I've got like fucking 5 other things to do. This is like an easy one."
Yeah.
Like I think it is accounted for. It's
Yeah.
it's just less about like I don't know. I do really appreciate that Memories of Murder is all about kind of like police corruption, and this one is like just kind of the opposite side of it. Like the police aren't like kind of as big an element.
Well, let's also point out that they do say that everyone saw him following her.
Mm.
So they've got they've got eyewitness accounts of him following her, and then found a golf ball at the scene with his name on it that they knew he had. That was definitely his. So, like,
No
yeah,
accounts from the guy who actually saw it though. That's good.
I mean, yeah, but they didn't know about him.
I quite like that the golf ball is the central thing because you got there's two things that play in there because there's the idea that the police have got targets to meet and they'll take kind of any kind of evidence, no matter how circumstantial, to convict someone if
Yeah.
that person is sort of weak enough not to be able to defend themselves.
Yeah.
So you got the two things at play, which I thought worked really well.
Yeah, because they literally like convince him to sign the confession, even though like there isn't hard enough evidence. It's just like they didn't even need to use the scare tactic on him because again, he's like, I don't want to keep using the word retard, even though they did.
Come on,
because they don't
fine.
like it.
God.
Because he's clearly mentally challenged and like has issues. They didn't even need to do the physical intimidation. Like they literally could have just been like, "You did it, right?" And then he'd be like, "Yeah."
I was just looking back. I was like wondering what the significance of the whole golf course bit was, and it's like, yeah, it's there to establish that he is like the most unreliable narrator you could ever ask for. Like he literally gets told. Jintai's literally like, "Oh yeah, why'd you kick the wing mirror off?" And he's like, "Shit, why did I do that?" And it's like, this is like the amount of suggestible like we're dealing with here. Like he doesn't have the memory power to understand, like even remember like where he was, what he did.
Yeah, I thought he was really well established as a character. And I really like the scene with him and his mum, and she's asking whether he signed the confession, and he's just like, "Yeah," and then she was like, "But like, even if you didn't, even if you did it, you should deny that you did it," and he was just like, "Why?" Like, I thought I really liked that scene.
But I like also that you have a later scene where no, it's the one before when they're eating dinner, and she's going like, "Why did you have to kick the wing mirror off?" And he's like, "Oh well, revenge, because you always said to me like, someone hits me, I hit them twice back like twice as hard, and she's like, yeah, you should.
Mm.
And it's like, yeah, that's kind of like as a mum, you kind of don't want your kid to get in trouble, and you don't want your kid to get hurt or like be submissive, but at the same time, like, and you know, you want it to be good, but these things
But
don't.
if you've got a mentally challenged child, you need to be careful what you imprint onto them.
Yeah, and it's like these things don't all like happen like at once. Like, he can keep him out of jail, but he's not gonna, like, you know, he still did the wrong thing. Like, you can't keep all of
He
it.
also might just end up killing his own mom at some point because he remembered that she tried to kill him. So, like, what's to say that he won't just turn around and murder her in a sleep?
Yeah. And that's also that's ironically the same reason he killed the girl because she insulted him.
I wouldn't say that was ironic. I feel like that was like the point.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the point. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, like I guess this is where we'll all differ. Like, well, I'll differ from all of you. Is that, like, if I'd been misdirected, I would have appreciated the look back at the other scenes, being like, oh yeah, they established this. Instead, I look at them and I go, no, it's too obvious. Like, I didn't need that because it's just made me go, I mean, I know what's going on. This has become very predictable and kind of boring now. So, like, I'm not saying they should take it out because clearly it's like, if I look outside of myself and look at it as the story structure, it's a good story. It's just because I knew what was going on a bit too early, I was just like, yep, unreliable narrator. Oh, I wonder what happened.
It is a bit of a like, it's like I said earlier, like it does rely on being able to mislead you a bit. And I think there are like quite a few films where if it achieves that, kind of looking back at it again is quite a fun experience because you can kind of like pick up on those things. But I don't know if it really got to that level. Like, I think it was good at what it did, but it didn't really
It wasn't amazing.
it didn't make me want to rewatch it with knowing what I knew by the end of it.
Yeah, which I think is like, no, I'm not saying it's the difference between good and bad. It's just the difference between good and great. Because I feel like if it had been a great version of it, me knowing more or less what was going to happen wouldn't have impeded my enjoyment that much, because it's more about, like, it's less about finding out the truth and more about how you get there and like the experience for it. Whereas with this, I was just like, I mean, yeah, all right.
I think I'm going to like push back a little bit because it's sort of I feel like the point of it isn't necessarily the whodunit aspect of it. It is like kind of the effect on the mother of finding this information out. Like it, I think, you know, because she's like desperate. She's like, no, he couldn't have done it. He couldn't have done it. He couldn't have done it. And then she finally gets like a lead, and she's like, fuck yes, this guy. And then she realizes that's not the case, and then it becomes, fuck, he did do it, shit. So I think kind of like, I think when Memories of Murder is sort of more of a whodunit, I don't think that's really the case with this.
I disagree to a degree.
Oh,
I would say Memories of Murder is primarily a whodunit, whereas this is a 50-50. Like, it's a 50 whodunit and a 50 of, you know, the title of the movie. So like, because I do think they're still important to the story. I just think they could have done it better.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'd call it a whodunit as such, because I think it uses elements of that to sort of achieve what it's doing. But I think it's a different spin on it, because I think you're supposed to go on the journey with the mother a bit. And yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting concept, but
all right, fine, maybe 60-40.
Yeah. So I think it's primarily a character study more than it is a whodunit, personally. But
I think it's a character study that relies on the sort of experience that you'd have with a whodunit.
I think that's fair. That's yeah. I would say that's more accurate to what I think it is.
But I think that was the
Yeah.
difference for me between this and Memories of Murder, because I think Memories of Murder kind of fell a bit flat just because, and to be fair, like there's good reason for it, but just because you didn't really have that sort of that antagonist, like
Yeah, because it was a mystery the whole time.
yeah, like the antagonist a lot of the time was like the police themselves. Vendors.
Yeah.
And like there's not necessarily anything wrong with that, but it's just a little bit it was a little bit too, I suppose, flat. But
I was
but
just going
with
to say, there's not enough like density to it when you don't do something like that.
and I think even though this was a really similar film, like because you had sort of all of that going on both sides of it, I think if I was to take the two hand in hand, then this is a way better film for me.
That's fair.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Very fair.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of trying to decide which one I like better, but yeah, I probably have to agree actually. Like just a kind of an anchoring point, like just following her for it, like a little bit stronger.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think I prefer Memories of Murder, like on a personal level, but I think this is a better film.
Yeah, it's a hard one. I like bits of both, but I think maybe I like Memories of Murder a little bit more. I remember what you said, Pat, and it was very true. When you were saying like it's a slow burner for the first hour and then it really kicks in. And I was just like, yeah, he was right. And then when stuff started going, I was like, man, it really has kicked up. Okay.
Yeah, I have to admit, I found the first hour really difficult. Like I was,
Oh, really?
I was kind of sat there and I was like, like I really enjoyed like the first sort of 20 minutes, and then there was just 40 minutes where I was going like, I'm not sure where this is going, and I don't think I really care that much. And then the turning point for me was the second scene where you see her chopping like the herbs or whatever they are.
Yeah.
And then like sort of from that point on, and it's similar with Parasite as well, actually. Like you got that sort of like midpoint flip, and yeah, that was the bit where I started going like, okay, I see what's going on now, and this is actually a really good film.
Yeah.
I think this director is sort of a prime example of why John's theory of a strong ending is relevant. Like you feel like in the first half of the film, like at least these two films, and Parasite a little bit. It's like there's a lot of story he's trying to tell, but it meanders a little bit, and you're like, okay, so where are you going with this? And then it just flips into gear.
I think it's I think partly as well it's a bit of a Korean thing, because I think we're kind of used to sort of like Western sort of like 3-act structure and everything kind of fitting roughly the same template in terms of like a narrative structure. But I don't know, there's just a difference with Korean films, I think. Like it's just it's a different mode.
One like I remember just sitting there like, and the mother was just like randomly dancing. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And I was sitting there thinking, I was like, oh, please don't be another bad one. I've already rated Emmanuel's films really bad so far. So I was praying for it to improve, but like the second half of the film was fantastic. Like if I was just gonna rate the second half opposite to the first half, the scores would be far higher, if you get what I mean.
To be fair, at one point I was worried it was actually a horror movie. The bit where the rock flies out at him and then he's looking into darkness. I was like, oh, fuck off. It's not a horror
Dwayne
film.
Johnson was in it.
Dwayne
Johnson was in it.
For fuck's sake, Ben.
That opening scene where she was
recording.
Yeah, continue.
That opening scene where she was dancing really reminded me of The Sound of Music.
I mean, yeah, I can see that.
Apparently,
man.
apparently she's not really.
Bells are alive with a bird.
The sound of rocks throwing.
Apparently
With
she
false
wasn't nervous filming that.
accusations.
The director came out and he started dancing with her, just to make her like less nervous doing it in front of the crew and that. Which was kind of nice.
No, that really confused me, man. I was kind of sat there like I've not a clue today.
Oh man, it's quite interesting how it's like that first scene, how everyone felt or reacted to it. Because when I saw it, I was just like, ooh, I'm in for an interesting one, ain't I? Because I don't know what it was, but when I saw her this, I was just like, she's a little bit unhinged. What's just happened? And then you kind of go straight to the film, and it's like, wait, what was that? What? Okay, so that was a prelude to something. All right, cool. Let me just sit. And for me, I think seeing that, and then maybe I watched a lot of films like this anyway, but I kind of enjoy the kind of slow burn anyway. So the first kind of hour was just like, I was just interested to see where this was going.
You see my
I
experience with that
didn't
scene.
really care
Oh,
too much.
sorry.
But I was just gonna say I tend to be fooled most of the time when it comes to misdirections and stuff because it's rare that unless the film's really bad, it's rare that I try and guess what's gonna happen. I'm just most of the time I'm just always there for the ride and I'm just kind of enjoying it
Mm.
or trying to anyway. But yeah, what you were saying, John?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You cut out, and then I started talking, and then you came back, and I was like, oh, yeah, no, I was going to say my experience with that scene was I watched it, and I was like, okay, so like that was also a kind of thrillery type scene where I was like, is this going to be weird? And then as soon as it got to the next scene, I was like, oh no, that's in the future. We're going to see that again. And then when it got to the scene again, I was like, cool.
So I didn't know what to expect from it because I was like, oh, I mean, it could be a horror, but I don't know. What kind of film will this be? And then she just started dancing, and then I was like, it's an Emmanuel film.
I did have I had another similar moment to in Leon where Matilda tells Leon that she loves him. And it was a bit where the guy said that he slept with his mum because I was kind of like, whoa.
I feel like that's intentional, like to make you wonder if he means literal sleep or and the fact that when he goes and lays with her, he's touching her boob. It's weird. Especially because if you pay attention to that, the end of that scene, his hand comes off slowly, but it could have come off and he could have gone to sleep, or
I didn't expect Leon to set the tone for this round quite so much. Everyone's just going like,
I mean, that's what happens. That's what happens when you glorify a pedo.
Oh man, I missed that whole part.
The thing for me was like, because it came up on the subtitle, it was like "mum" as in MUM, and I kind of read it and I was like, there is a chance that I'm not reading British English and "mum" is a name. and then as the film went on, I was like, oh, thank God, thank God it was maybe not what I reasoned with myself that it might be, but it wasn't what I thought it was, and that's good enough.
What did you think it was?
It might be what you thought it was, though.
No, like I was saying, like, because when I read "mum," I was like, because it is MUM, and like normally I expect subtitles to be American English. I was like, maybe it's just a name, maybe it's nothing to worry about. And then, yeah, as the film went on, I was like, oh, he was talking about his mum, but not in that way, and that's fine.
But they did that. They did that with Tale of Two Sisters.
Could be the way that you're worried about.
You stop that, John.
There's enough there that it genuinely could be.
Yeah, I know it is a bit. Yeah.
I'm not just trying to be contrarian here. It's clearly hinted at, right?
The Tale of Two Sisters subtitles, they say "mum," like English mum. So.
Oh, mine said American mum.
Oh,
motherfucker!
I think you mean mom.
Mom. But yeah, it's obviously it's because where you watch it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Unless you're using a VPN or something, it's going to give you the British English subtitles.
Well, it depends.
or
'Cause, certain, like even if it's Amazon or something, they might just not have a UK English one. Like depending on the film, depending on if they bothered, it might literally just be.
Hmm.
Might not even have
like in English.
subtitles at all.
Yeah.
If
I
it's
find-
Amazon.
I find as well, like if you get a Blu-ray release, a lot of the time it will be American English, and I assume just because America's a bigger market, so they don't bother to do it in British English.
I would say so, yeah. Cool. End of discussion. See you guys next week.
What? But that's a good point. I didn't realize that before. Carry on.
Yeah, I felt other than that, like I think I just kind of had some like contrivance sort of related kind of issues. I said about kind of she just happens to run into them at the time when the kids are trying to bully the girl with the scar on her face and that. Also, that they're kind of waiting around that them like waiting on the golf course for the rich guys to come by on the golf cart, and they just fucking attack them. And it's like, you don't. There's more than one fucking car here. Like these could be anybody, and it's like,
Well,
if it was anybody, that changes the whole trajectory of the story.
to be fair, I think the point there is that the cars just got there, so they would have waited at the start of the course. Because like they know that the car literally just got there. So yes, it still could have been other people because you don't know exactly the
Yeah.
timescale, but I don't think it's that unreasonable.
Mm.
Plus, I think they're both stupid. Well, one of them's stupid and one of them doesn't give a shit. So I
Yeah.
don't think they actually cared.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Jintei, I if it was the wrong people, I don't think he would have cared. To be like,
I mean, you can tell by the fact that he chucked the golf club in the water, because in that moment, it seems as if he's getting rid of a weapon for them to use. But then when he goes back and gets it, you know, it's literally
Yeah.
like he just planned on doing that.
But the whole thing in the police station
Yeah.
is that they go, oh, well, you hit young Dune with the car, they attacked you, so that cancels out. Another like Korean police thing. But if it wasn't even the people
Yeah.
who hit him, it's like, cool, so they fucking hit you, but you've now just fucked up this. You've now just started a punch up with another group of people entirely. So,
I mean, yeah, it's fine. Juntai would have just blamed it all on him. Like, he's not worried. Again, one of them's stupid and one of them doesn't care.
but yeah, but like that does put more pressure onto the mother to like pay for the the compensation and that.
Yeah.
but yeah.
I did actually really like the scene where the lawyer's going like, "Look, we'll get you 4 years," and it's like that's the best you're gonna get.
Yeah.
and like she's just kind of sitting there like, "For fuck's sake."
Yeah.
And the
Right.
thing is, like, he could have accepted those 4 years instead of killing someone. And like, I know
Yeah.
4 years is still 4 years, but it's not 15, and it's not a permanent conviction.
Yeah, and it's even though yes, they're not known to be the best places, it's a mental institution, so you hope they're going to be treated ever so slightly better than in the prison.
But they
Probably
also
not.
they also acknowledge like it's kind of an honor bound sort of society because she says that he shouldn't hang around with J10 because he's like from bad seed or whatever. So
Yeah,
if it's known that, I mean, he's already been arrested anyway, but like if he ends up going to like jail or whatever, then that would impact badly on the family, I
Yeah.
guess. So I think that could probably account for why she's hesitant to say like, yeah, 4 years, why not?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I guess the difference would be that like it's not a conviction as such. So like the mental institute sort of version, well, it definitely would still stain slightly, but it stained less than 2 murders,
yeah, definitely.
which really she
another-
would have been found out for if he hadn't found off like an acupuncture tip.
Mm.
Yeah,
That was pretty bad to leave that there. Like,
I mean, no, I get why it got left there. That's fine.
oh yeah,
Because, you know, whatever. But the fact that the police didn't find it at all, and then her son did, again, very contrived. And then I couldn't really tell if they were hinting at the end that the kid was like, I know you did it, or if he was just like, here you go, mother. And then she was just upset because it reminded her of what she'd done.
I mean,
Also, just the
yeah.
thing that the pattern is still like there, even though it's been in a flaming building.
I mean, it's metal. Like the flames in like an actual building on fire don't actually reach like mega hot temperatures. So it depends exactly how it was made
Oh, okay,
and exactly where it was as well.
fair enough.
Another interesting, I think interesting point, just a point, because I was watching with Camilla, and I'm not going to show her any thrillers again. She's really bad with thrillers and horrors. But we weren't sure how she would find this one. But when it comes to when the lawyer says she can have 4 years, he's like, it's a weird kind of situation where they're all junk, but he's using his connections in a corrupt way to, and from his point of view, kind of do her a favor and try and help out. Because he also probably believes like he didn't do this. Like from the first meeting, he was like, the first meeting says it all, whatever. And whether he did or didn't do it, he's just like, look, you did 4 years. I'm not trying to help you out, kind of thing. I'm going out my way to help you out for like barely any money. I just found that just an interesting point. I don't know.
Counterpoint to that. I would argue that he has literally no opinions on whether he did or didn't do it and doesn't give two shits, because I think it's pretty heavily insinuated that she didn't just pay him with money, and that there's no way that she would have been able to get his services with just money. Because
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that.
He does
But
the
the
whole
guy-
lick thing first, and
Because the manager's like, oh yeah, the money you've given us wouldn't even cover like a minor assault case.
Yeah,
So yeah, I didn't even pick up on that.
yeah. So like, I
that's
think it's
true.
pretty
That's a
clear
good
that
point.
she's probably done him some sexual favor, and then he's accepted a small amount of money to do it. He's corrupt, doesn't give a shit if his client is guilty or innocent. He's just going to use his connections to get them off in whatever way. And the fact that the conversation that he had with them about it was with possibly prostitutes or just like escorts while getting shit-faced drunk.
Escorts, yeah.
Yeah, I imagine prostitution is probably illegal there, so it's probably escorts. But yeah, did you know, random fact for you that I found out today, polyamory is illegal in Korea.
Yeah, it's also polyamory. So multi-marriage.
Yeah, it's illegal in Korea.
Oh no, I think that's polygamy. Polyamory is just.
I meant polygamy.
Ah.
Apologies.
You said that in a way where I was like, fuck, I'm really sorry I fucked that up, man.
No,
Didn't even know what that meant.
it was me. Yeah, polyamory is multiple partners. Polygamy is multiple like husbands or wives, I think.
That's illegal here as well, isn't it?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think it is.
You had to be divorced before you get married again. If you get caught with a new marriage without terminating the other one, then you can go to jail.
That's all right. If you just divorce one like every couple of years and then marry the other one, like, everyone gets a fair go.
What do you know that?
Or do what Henry VIII did and just kill them.
That
That's
also
yeah,
in jail for a
illegal.
certain-
Yeah.
You
Why do
could
you
just
know
be
that?
living partners, but
Wait, does who know what?
Why does Pat know like fucking polygamy law?
He's got plans for the future.
Considering I didn't even know what the word meant at first,
Yeah.
I know the law.
Hello.
The law.
Considering I spent 6 months in the last year not working and just sitting up till 4 or 5 in the morning, I did a lot of reading on random shit.
You researched
Me
a
too,
lot of
Wiki.
laws without looking at the names of them.
What actually happened is we watched Judge Dredd and then Pat was like, "Law," and then started reading up on it.
The law.
yeah, Pat is right. But yeah, the escort thing, that's very common. Like if you,
Yeah,
I don't,
especially with
I don't,
Teriyaki places.
Yeah, and I don't know how it is in Korea, so I can only say on Japan. But if you ever do go to Japan, literally in quite like in a lot of places, especially at night, you'll realize you just see lots of bars, and they will have like it's basically big posters of just women dressed in the kind of way to suggest that this is an escort type place or
Yeah.
somewhere you could pick up an escort. Like a lot of the salary then we were just we would just kind of drop by, go to one of their favorite ones and then have some drink or whatnot or go somewhere else. So it's very common to this day. And
Yeah,
it's
like you'll
very
literally
easy.
have women outside these places coaxing men in, being like, "Hey, why don't you come in and buy me a drink?" And literally, like there'll be men
Yeah.
who drive their families into massive debt because they're taking out loans and
Oh,
shit to go visit their favorite girls in these clubs. And
yeah.
like, fair enough, there are some dodgy ones where there is a prostitution side to it, but that's like the dark side. Whereas it's the main thing is literally just that you'll go in, spend time with them, they'll pretend to like you, you'll buy them drinks, you'll spend loads of money in the place, and then they'll be happy.
Oh, and so many flashbacks.
We love you long time.
What did you
That's
say, Ty?
racist.
It's also incorrect because that's like a that's not a Japanese thing.
Oh, man.
I was watching a film that
On the
said that. I
flip
can't remember
side,
what it was. Sorry.
That was a great anecdote.
Can't remember laws, can't remember movies. Sorry if you keep getting talked over, Emmanuel. There's like some slight lag. So when you start talking, none of us hear it until a few seconds later, and then it's like, oh.
That's okay. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
We can hear you. It's just sometimes it lags a bit.
Yeah, my connection went really bad as well at the same time. So I purposely stopped talking. I was like, oh crap. And then Pat was speaking really fast.
We keep getting that thing where you're talking and then there's a pause and then it catches you up. So you're like,
oh my goodness. To kind of add to I know this isn't really a talk about this, but about the escort part, on the flip side, like to give an example of like how someone might have ended up in that position, if someone in Japan, for example, didn't get good enough grades on their GCSE equivalents or whatnot, or maybe kind of flunked, as a woman, that might be one of the only jobs they get or are available. And before that point, they probably would have been kicked out by their parents because they didn't achieve well enough.
Well, they use it to
grades.
like fund university and shit.
Yeah, so they might end up as an escort 5 to 6 days a week, and it pays well, but of course they have like no value but just that in society. But then that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, and it's also a very dangerous job to do.
Yeah.
Emmanuel sounded like he had like some sort of euphoric epiphany. Like, yeah.
I think it's one of those things where I could probably talk a lot or for a very long time about a lot of problems just in Japan, but I tend to stop myself. I'm just like, yeah, it's got problems.
It's okay, man. I get it. I have to stop myself too.
Jesus. I think I had like one more problem. I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, is her friend being like the running the camera shop and stuff, and her like just remembering that she actually had an encounter with Moon Jung, like a couple of like, I don't know.
To be honest, oh sorry. Go on.
So I'm trying to wrestle. I think if it's a problem, because if it's not like televised or something, she wouldn't necessarily have picked up on it.
I mean, she definitely knew
like,
who she was. I think it's just more the kind of thing like, okay, yes, it's a small community and stuff, but it's the same kind of thing as like think about how many people a day, how many days a week, etc., that she sees people come into her shop. She's not going to remember every interaction she's had with them. Like it was a triggered phrase that made her remember that specific moment. And this whole film is about memory.
Memories.
But also just her being friends, like, because I think she runs out of leads, and then I think it's like directly after she tries to get J10 arrested, and then like that all falls through, and she's got nothing.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna break out some baby pictures and have my friend like edit them and stuff." And then she's like, "Oh yeah, I saw that girl that got murdered," and it's like, "What the fuck?" And that's what gets the story back going. It just seemed a little like weak to me, I guess.
It's definitely it definitely could have been done better, because like rather than as a story should be, which is a nice flow all the way through, it was kind of like like we've got nothing, we've got something just immediately for while I don't see a problem with the reason, I do think the execution wasn't amazing.
I'm gonna give it 8 instead. I think the story.
I was I think depending on the reaction, I was like, if this isn't really a problem, I might boost it up to a 9. So sorry if I've just kind of worsened your score a bit.
Oh no, that's okay. Like I think in the end, the problem wasn't that she was reminded. She just remembered. Oh yeah, that girl that's in the papers and stuff, or people talk about. I did see her because obviously when she went to the girls' school, the amount of the school where all the girls were, the amount of girls there were. Of course, she's probably not gonna really be thinking about that, especially that part's believable. It's more like you said, let me just break out some baby pictures, and then suddenly that happens. That point, I get what you mean. I do agree with that.
Doesn't break anything, just a little weak.
I have a question for all of you.
Well, Ben's distraught.
Obviously, I had a problem with the misdirection thing, but I was still like aware of the things that I felt like they were trying to misdirect me towards. Did you all feel like they were trying to lead you to believe that she either killed herself or that she had an accident and nobody killed her?
I didn't know. The only thing that I got wrong was I thought maybe she didn't have a son at all.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I can get that. The reason I bring those up, because again, like I wasn't believing them when I felt that they were trying to lead me down that road, but I felt like the mention of pictures, they weren't specific straight away. And they'd made a point of saying that you can see the whole town from where she was found, and like, why was she found up high? So my thought was like, oh, maybe they're trying to say that she was trying to get a picture of the whole town. But then, they've led into the nosebleed thing, which makes you think that she's got a problem. So she might have had an accident and then she's died there herself. But then there's also the scene where the mum is running up to where she died, and it cuts up to the antenna and there's something hanging off of there. So it's almost as if like maybe she tried to climb up there to get an even better picture and she like fell. I felt like they were trying to lead us down that road.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't know.
Because otherwise there's no reason for the nosebleed thing.
Yeah, I think the nosebleed was probably a weak setup. Yeah, there was probably a weak setup for that. But I never thought that they were saying that. I thought the whole time they were kind of saying that, or they were suggesting that someone killed her, but it wasn't Dojin. It was.
I mean, that's what I felt like they were doing initially. Again, this is probably just me overthinking it, because I'll be honest, I was fucking bored watching it. Because I wasn't enjoying it, I was just thinking about stuff, and like first of all, I was like, okay, so they want you to think that it was his friend first, and then they want you to think that it could have been someone else in general, and then it got to that part, and I was like, okay, now that now they're introducing the fact that she's clearly got a problem because she's getting nosebleeds, but she's not getting it checked out, and she likes taking pictures that they haven't specified. Like, to me, it sounded like they were trying to say that, like, because they were saying her pictures were amazing and stuff, as if it was like taking pictures of the world kind of thing. Which is why I was like, well, they've made a point of saying that this is a place you can see the whole town from. Obviously, that's not what it ended up being, but I was just in the moment going, okay, so do they want me to think that either she fell or she had a medical issue that like caused her to fall over, and then, like, you know, the ball was there because he'd been throwing them, like, because I feel like they laid the groundwork for that to be a possibility. He'd been throwing the balls around,
Yeah.
one easily bounced up and landed up there. Whereas, you know, in the end, we know it happened because he would have had them in his pocket and one fell out.
Yeah, the idea that she like accidentally died never occurred to me, but I don't watch that. I think I'll take these in like Emmanuel does, where I'm just kind of in for the ride. I'm not like necessarily interested in figuring out ahead of time.
I mean, it's not like I'm trying to do it; it just happens. But I just feel like, obviously, we find out in the end that the nosebleed thing is just to incriminate the other guy. But I feel like the point in which is introduced, like, I can't see it as any other way as
Yeah.
trying to indicate that she might have had an accident, just to give you another layer of misdirection.
Yeah, so when they first introduced it, I thought about two things. One more funnier. The first one was that I thought, are they hinting that she's being abused in some way? So she's got some kind of lingering injury, so she's having nosebleeds more easily, which could easily be happening with the amount that it's just she was sleeping, having to sleep around. And then the second thing, it reminded me of one summer at school, so completely separate thing. There was at school, I think every 2 weeks? It was every month for like 1 year of the year. I had nosebleeds like clockwork, and it got to a point where Teresa was just like, "Oh, you're just having your time of the month, isn't it?"
Yeah.
It's like, it made me laugh. This is so funny. I'm bleeding on the desk. So sorry, I gotta go out. I'd be in like RE class, I'm just like writing, and then suddenly just be blood on my paper. I'm just like, for goodness sakes. Long story short, that was because it was quite hot and my nose was really dry, so the blood vessels were just bursting and bleeding. But anyway,
Really random story you've just reminded me of. I think you were there for this, Emmanuel, but I'm not sure 100%. But there was a very short period of time in school where I was getting hot chocolate every day, and I stopped because 3 days in a row, Simon managed to knock it out of my hand onto me, like 3 days in a row, and each time was an accident. But one of the times, I was like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" And then, you know, it was there. It sort of kind of dried. And then our head of year saw me and was like, "Oh my God, what happened?" And I was like, "What?" Because of the way it dried, it looked like blood. So she thought I'd like had a massive fight or something.
I like the idea that on the fourth day Simon was coming into school like, I'm getting really good at making this look like an accident.
And then I was like,
How long can I fuck this?
it's like that hypothetical question. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it, but it's like, how many days in a row, if a friend was to vomit directly on you, how many days would it take for you to like have a real problem with it?
One.
Because, like, you know, the first time you might be concerned about them, etc., and then it's like after how many days is it like you're like, this is intentional now, right? You need to stop.
That's actually quite interesting. I'm not sure.
Yeah, have a think about it.
Because at least for like the first 3 or 4 days, I'd be going, "Oh, poor sod," and then by the 5th day, I'd be going, "Well, it's happening a lot now." But
And why
he's
is it
the one
happening
being
on
sick, so
I think it'd be the second day that I'd be like, could you not vomit on someone else?
I wouldn't
Why
mind.
is that the question?
You passed the bathroom to get to me. I feel like you're angry about something. I don't know.
I just feel like if your response isn't, can you not just vomit on the floor, rather than can you not vomit on someone else?
I really like the image that like this is happening to Alec, and he's just like, I'm really sorry. I just feel like I've done something. I don't.
Have I upset you in some way? It's just you literally are running past sinks to get to me.
I've clearly spited you
You
in
see
some way
me
because you're
and
like,
decide to vomit now.
you go past everything and it's not a quick vomit. You do the whole cat thing and you're like, and then you vomit all over me, and it's just not on, really.
Yeah, after the first time, I was just laughing. I was laughing for another reason as well, because I could imagine myself after the first time just being on edge around that person. And as soon as I hear the sound, I'm gone. I'll just run away.
Yeah.
That's an even better image of just you being on edge, just like he's done it once.
Just watch it. You're desperately watching their throat for any movement. You're like,
If he's done it once, he's more likely than anyone else to do it again.
Just like Ben, you just ran 200 meters to vomit on a manual. Like, you chased
and then he's
him.
like, no, I vomited because I ran 200 meters.
That's the distinction you need to make.
Sorry, I've gone.
I was just going to say, I think that's the difference between us all is that Pat wants it to go on someone else. Emmanuel's a bit on edge and Alec thinks he's done something wrong. And I'm like 20 days in going, I can't imagine it's on purpose.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It reminds me of that time we were walking back to Edge because Kerry had like forgot her phone there, and me and Rob were walking side by side, and we saw this woman walking like very unsteady towards us, and we both looked at each other because we'd had a discussion about how neither of us can deal with human liquids, and we both looked at each other like wordlessly, basically going, I really hope she doesn't throw up on us. And we very gingerly and anxiously walked past her, and we were like, oh, okay. And then we just heard, and we were just like, oh, keep walking. And then when we had to walk back, we saw what looked like a pool of snot on the floor, and we were just like,
Oh.
Oh, man.
Oh, that was awful. That was.
That's
That
very
reminds me.
funny.
That reminds me of the time that we went.
This was going to be an endless stream.
I can't remember where we went. It was for your birthday, though, John. It was somewhere in Leicester Square when you got really.
Code, then I
The
imagine.
Zubar.
It was Zuba. Yeah.
Oh,
was it.
that.
Yeah. And I just remember like walking you home because like you got so drunk, and I remember like holding you up, and then you just vomited on the floor. And I remember it was me and Matt, and I was just like, Matt, you need to help me, man, because I'm either going to drop him or I'm going to be sick myself.
See, what's funny about that is the way you explained it to me the first time is that you went, oh yeah, we were holding you, and then you vomited, and I went, nope.
Yeah, Rob, do you remember when we bought John a coffee?
I was going to bring
And
that
then
up.
And he just had a shot of it and he just like, no.
in
I mean-
hindsight, we probably should have warned him that it was hot.
It was. I seriously doubt it was hot. I imagine it's because it was fucking coffee. I hate coffee.
I like the idea that the director of Mother is going like, a video about my movie. This time. And then it's just like, near the end, it's just like all these stories about vomit.
I mean, to be fair, it gets worse. They got me on the bus,
Oh god, yeah.
I've
and
heard this
then
one.
they were both good friends and bad friends. Good friends because they helped me on the bus. Bad friends because they weren't keeping an eye on me and just left me like that with my neck back. And then they were like, "Oh, we should do something about it."
Well,
They get kicked off the bus.
there was another bit as well because like your head was back, and I remember like looking at Matt and going,
Oh
like,
yeah.
being like, we should change that. And then like I just remember like tilting your head forward, and you smacked it on a metal pole and then vomited it.
Oh, God.
And then we got kicked off the bus. They had to ring my mum. I'm still not sure how you managed that.
Yeah,
I think we
Nick
must
just
have gone
like-
through your phone, yeah.
Oh, I can't remember what phone I had at the time. So yeah, I guess. They had to ring my mum to come pick me up. I think it was like 3 a.m. or something.
Yeah, something like that.
And then the only time ever I've done this, and obviously it was a complete accident, and I still to this day feel guilty about it. I accidentally hit my mum because I was in the car. She parked it so that I was obviously on the pavement side. She opened the door and then tried to get me out, and I just like flailed and like hit her, and she went, "All right, you can sleep in the car tonight."
Oh.
I'm like, yeah, to this day, I still feel guilty about that because I'm like, I know it was a complete accident, but I just feel dreadful.
Oh,
I
man.
always remember on the bus, like, because you were kind of like sat in the disabled bit, and I imagine I was sweating all over the place trying to like keep you upright as well. And there was just like you're sick, like sloshing up and down the bus. And I remember this woman was just like looking at you like really sort of wholesomely, and she was like, "Oh, don't worry, you won't remember this tomorrow." And I was like,
And you're like, I fucking will. Yeah, like that's one of 3 times I've got really drunk, and that was the worst.
Worst by far.
Man,
Wish you
sounds
had gone
it.
for that.
No, you don't.
I do.
You would have got to watch a bouncer carry me outside, me looking dead, him telling everyone that he almost had a heart attack because he thought I was dead, and then say, "Don't worry, he can come back in as long as he doesn't drink." And I'm like, "Well, hang on, no, that's not okay."
that's like
Oh my
expert
God.
mode.
Yeah.
Like what?
Oh,
As the person who was that drunk, no, do not let me back in for any reason. I wouldn't be surprised if they barred me.
terrible.
I did to the barmaid thing. So.
That was terrible.
Anyway, Rob, what you feel?
Hang on,
That's just over, is it?
One thing
I'm
I did.
assuming so, considering you've been talking about vomit for 20 minutes.
There's these
Wow.
funny things called tangents, by the way. So moving away from the tangents, the thing that I've been waiting to say is I found it quite sad that, and I feel like it's quite,
what's your film, Rob?
imagine what a dick move. No, I think
Mhm.
it's like slightly glossed over intentionally, but I think it's quite sad when you actually think about like the girl who died, what her life actually was. Like,
Yeah.
she literally was banging guys for money to fuel her grandmother's addiction. Like,
Yeah.
It's
because
a bit of a downer.
you know, at first you're like, oh well, it's just rice. When you find out, it's like, oh, it's just rice that you're getting. But obviously, the grandmother's making rice wine out of the rice. Like, that's why there's so much rice there all the time. And the
Yeah.
fact that she was hiding her phone in the rice and everything, like, obviously her grandmother's fucking mental as well. But it's just, yeah, it's pretty sad.
Sorry, I just love Rob's
Yeah.
reaction to that. Just like, oh yeah, that's a bit of
I'm
a
a-
blow, actually.
Yeah. That, sorry.
I was just going to make a joke. It doesn't matter. Carry on.
Oh,
John's
no,
jokes
okay.
never matter. It's like,
No. But like what you said as well, that made it worse at that moment. I remember like when we find out how she died, I was just like it in such a way, and for her to have gone through all that and died like that, I was just like, man.
I mean, she was probably happy for it, to be fair.
oh John, I'm sorry, I
Mm.
didn't mean it.
Yeah, like
Just so
I
sad.
quite liked that moment because there was no like pomp and circumstance. It was literally just he chucked a rock and it smacked her in the back of the head, and that was it. Like even
Yeah.
the noise, just donk.
Yeah, the sound was like that. That was amazing. I thought.
Yeah, and then the fact that like then the extra layer there is he was just like, fuck. I'll call this, but no. I'll call that no.
Yeah.
Remember. I'll call this no. Call it no. Fuck. What do I
Yeah.
do? I know. I'll put her in the most visible spot so that the ambulance can get her.
I was just like, man. And when you was talking about all the vomit and stuff, I was thinking it's kind of a nice link to her vomiting in the toilet. But
I did
even
wonder,
that moment,
did she have like many drinks that night, or was it just the one that set her off? Because that's really funny.
I think she's just bad with alcohol, to be honest. I think she just can't really handle it. Cause yeah, she had it was. I'm sure it was strong alcohol, but I don't think she had much. She also
I mean, you can
drank
tell
it
from the
too
way she was
fast.
drinking it. Like she was like,
Yeah. Yeah, she drank that way too fast. Cause when they drink. You know how I think how it over there. They drink, they properly drink, and it's not like weak stuff.
They do.
So-
Although I do imagine it was just a Jaeger bomb. So
Could be, yeah.
no, it
But,
definitely wasn't. Because like obviously they do different stuff. I just find it funny to imagine that she hated it so much and then threw up from one Jaeger bomb. Although Rob probably would as well because he hates Jaeger.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
It is awful
Maybe it's
shit.
just
I quite like it.
oh
Obviously.
man. But what was it? I think it was just another kind of messed up layer to add to it all, that she, like, I don't know what kind of effects that might have had on him physically or mentally, but the fact that she tried to do that, like, I don't know what was going on in their life at the time, if she thought they wouldn't make it or didn't have the money and they was just going to starve to death, because
You're right.
that was also not necessarily uncommon.
Yeah.
So the fact that they kind of come back from that, and it kind of adds to the fact that she probably doesn't like mind obviously it's another layer to them sleeping together. Is
Yeah,
that-
because they came through it together. So like it's
yeah,
as she said, we are one kind of thing.
yeah. And then the whole kind of like, even though she definitely didn't need to, I don't know. It's just everything at the end is kind of builds up, and then at the end she's just like, you know what, I just want to forget it all, and I'm just gonna dance and look weird, and I don't care.
Well,
It's
to be
just
honest with
dance.
you, I don't know if this is me just looking into it too much again, but I assume that the thing that she made them drink, because they both drank it. Can I just say, first of all, the sentence was really funny where she was like, "Oh, but I used the weaker one, and then we just vomited and shit water for days."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing that she made them drink, I personally believe that that's what made him into an invalid and also made her slightly crazy. Like obviously
Yeah.
must have been a
That's
little
a
bit
good
crazy
point.
anyway to do that, but
Hmm.
I feel like, because we don't know what he was like before then, and I just feel like because of the flow
Yeah.
of the story and the fact they show that scene with the bottle early on,
Mhm.
I feel like it's probably the case that he's the way he is because of that. And obviously she was a bit more what's the word, she was a matured human being, so it didn't affect her as much, but I think it clearly did.
Yeah. Yeah, Camilla was saying the same thing. I was like, oh yeah, that is a possibility. It did seem like that was what was suggested, like making her feel even more guilty and more kind of like, I have to protect you and do right by you. Like after all of that, like after what I've done, I need to protect you as all I can and keep you from danger and X, Y, and Z. So yeah.
Yeah. Also, fuck you two, because I've seen what you're laughing at now.
I don't even know what I was trying to work out what they were laughing at.
Well,
I was trying not to-
I was purposely not addressing it because I was like, no, this time I'm not derailing it. But if you just look in the chat, you'll find out.
Fucking hell.
It's the thing. I was like,
Oh.
I've got to get the word out, but I can't disrupt things.
Oh,
Oh man.
I'm such
I
an
was
idiot.
like-
I was like, oh, the fucking Zoom chat, twat.
I was just like, oh, did I phrase something weird? Like, why is Rob laughing and why is Pat dying? And then I was like, actually, you know what? My Facebook's saying there's a message. It's probably that. It was.
So I didn't even notice it until Rob pointed it out.
I wish I'd seen it at the moment.
I missed that entirely.
That's the thing, like, because Alec kind of
Me
like
too.
leant over and then I blinked and then there was just that on the screen and I was like, oh my god.
It's Chody.
That's even worse.
Not even
You were
that
looking
funny,
at
Shadow.
Alex Chode. Oh no,
Oh,
you were
dear.
looking at Alex Spotty Chode the entire time. He's moly Chode.
Okay. But
Mole, mole,
oh.
mole.
well, overall, I know that it's getting late, so I'll keep it short.
Fuck.
But overall, I'm glad I picked it. I did enjoy it and like it, and fortunately, no one hated it, which is it's always a good thing.
John sort of hated it.
Nah, 6.2
I
is
mean-
not hate.
I mean, depends if you look at the score breakdown, because there's the fair scores, because I recognize that it's a decent movie. But I very much, let's put it this way. At one point I was sitting here and I just went, oh, come on, movie, end. And then Nick went, Nick just went, a sentence you don't hear when you're watching good movies. I was like, yeah.
I'm not sure I'd watch it for fun.
Yeah, I was thinking actually when I got to the end of it, I was kind of like, this is a bit like the Shawshank Redemption because it's like I liked it, but fuck off if I'm watching it again.
Yeah, I liked it, but I'd rather not relive that experience. Although, someone has to pick that at some point for this club because I've never seen it. So you'll have to.
Go on,
Oh
Pat.
yeah, that
no
film.
idea
Oh,
how I'd
no.
score that.
I don't think I want to watch that film again. I think I just score it. Just
No,
like,
not allowed. Have to rewatch it.
you don't understand. That
No, I don't.
film
Pick it, and I will.
That film hits too deep.
I don't understand though. I won't understand unless I watch it, which I won't watch it unless someone picks it. So we're at a stalemate here.
I imagine Humphrey will pick it.
Probably. I also need someone to pick The Shining
Ah, I love the show.
Hmm.
because I want to watch the sequel whenever it comes out. If it's not already out, I can't remember.
No,
It's been
already
out for ages.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, that one.
I
yeah.
want to watch it though.
because I saw a trailer for it and I thought it looked pretty interesting, and I was like, I should really. Well, I can't watch that until I've seen The Shining, but I'm not going to watch it unless you pick it for Movie Club. So someone needs to pick it for Movie Club.
And we watched that like quite a while before the pandemic, didn't we?
Yeah, was it
What, the sequel?
2019?
Wow, really?
Yeah.
I read,
Yeah,
read
something
the
like
book.
Hmm.
It's either that I've completely
Ah.
lost track of time, which is happening constantly, so that's possible,
Mhm.
or I just saw a random trailer for it, like just came up as an advert when it had already been out for ages.
To be fair, it's called Doctor Sleep, so like maybe you just
Yeah.
stopped associating it with The Shining.
Wait, what?
Maybe.
Or as in like it's not called like The Shining 2, like it's got a completely separate name.
Yeah.
No, that I know,
Doctor
but I've only heard of it like in the one instance, and I knew
Ah.
straight away that it was a like as soon as I saw the trailer, I was like, just from like I've never seen this trailer, but it feels very much like that. So I looked it up and it was like, yeah, it's a sequel, and I was like, oh, okay.
Mm.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, Robert-
Otherwise, yeah.
What is your film, Rob? Fuck off, Pat.
So my film is a film that Emmanuel might want to watch without Camilla, and that John might want to watch without food. so
Yeah.
so my film is The Exorcist.
Oh,
Oh
cool.
no.
I've never actually seen that.
That's a good start.
Like, I've seen the obvious thing, but
The Exorcist.
I mean, I like the music. I'm sure because I've
Hmm.
always liked the music.
that's fine. Just close your eyes.
have you seen it before, Emmanuel?
No, but I didn't see it for reasons.
Yeah,
I
I'm
didn't see
sure a
it-
lot of
I
people
didn't see
can
it
say
for
that about
purpose.
Antichrist.
Yeah, I was going to say you can't pick Antichrist and then tell me that about The Exorcist.
Yeah.
They are
Antichrist.
different films. They are
Genital
different films.
mutilation.
Exorcist is tame in
Yeah,
comparison.
It's okay.
You know,
There were reasons in the film.
Right.
They were
So
both
I'm
crazy
gonna
out
send a
of it.
message to your wife to be, just to let her know the sentence. Yeah, it's okay. Came out of your mouth after I mentioned genital mutilation, and that you might want to reconsider the marriage.
Oh, man.
It was only Willem Dafoe
With his weird penis.
with his weird penis.
With his weirdly large penis.
His penis that was too weird for film.
Too large and weird. Alex says while holding
yeah.
a large weird penis.
Oh no, it's Willem Dafoe.
me and
Rob,
Rick
I
were
expect.
laughing at.
It's got
I
eyeballs.
expect. Ooh.
Hmm.
Are they
Actually, it's
eyeballs
not
or are
just
they
gonna-
keyholes?
Oh no.
That's his penis.
Um,
No, that's the
I-
spoot hole.
Sorry, let Emmanuel talk.
Yeah, sorry.
I expect that Rob, Ben, there's probably going to be quite a few people bringing up trivia about this because I remember before I was going to watch the film, hearing how much stuff just went down on set, after set, around the film, and all sorts of other stuff. I was just like, I'm cool.
I think Rob might actually have mentioned it before. Was it The Exorcist you were talking about before, saying that like people on set of it, like it felt so real that there were people on set like vomiting and like feeling really ill.
Yeah, there was like there's stories of people like passing out and all sorts of things happening on set. Even in cinemas as well. Like there's a big kind of like, I suppose, urban myth now about like all the things that happened during the initial screenings, and like people now as well like say that when it was in its original cinema run. Like you couldn't go and see it without a cinema screen smelling like sick.
Ugh.
Madness.
Rob,
That is-
sorry. There was a couple of results. Is it the 1973 one, I assume?
Yes.
Yeah, it's, yeah.
Also, I want you to know that the first result that came up was letting me know that on Friday, the 29th of October until Sunday, the 31st of October, it's showing in View Cinema in Plymouth.
Yeah,
Oh,
I saw that. I
guess
got really
that's
excited,
Halloween.
and then I was like, "Oh no, that's quite far away."
Well, I'm going to look up my local cinema now just to see if, on the off chance, they're doing it for Halloween. It won't matter because I won't be able to see it in time, but it's still funny.
Yeah, it'd be worth looking.
That is interesting. Random. On
I mean,
a
yeah,
random note.
oh, sorry, go on.
Oh, what were you gonna say?
I was literally just going to say it's just the seasonal stuff, isn't it? Like they do that with Christmas and other things as well, where they'll show specific films in certain cinemas, but it will be like one showing or something.
Yeah, true. On a random note before I go, the electric scooter that I bought recently, the Pure Long Range Edition, it's been really good.